One thing I cannot express enough is the importance of not watching this video first. You have to start with the first video and go through the progression. Today is June 9th, and I am getting back to serious lion diet today. I've had my fun trying to experiment with the different foods, and by fun I mean no fun at all. Trying to reincorporate some foods that I miss. I think it had more to do with my desire to have them than it did with my desire to experiment. I let a lot of the keto comments get to me where people would say try this and try that and try the other. The Rebel ice cream didn't work out well. I wound up having a very upset stomach within about 30 minutes. I'm sure it's great for a lot of people, but for my gut issues, it's gonna have to be strict ruminant meat. I've left out the oranges and been much better off. I was foolish enough to try to incorporate beer. It's mostly social issues, hanging out with my brother-in-law or my brother or my wife. When you have friends and family who enjoy beer especially, there's a little pressure there to want to participate, especially when you always have in the past. Maybe not so much so if you've never done that before. But for me, I've got to stick with strict ruminant meat. These past 2 weeks, I have felt tired and sluggish. I have not exercised as much as I have been. Yesterday, I felt just like I did back in December, but I didn't have all the pain in my gut. I had it up here. I was confused. I had a hard time focusing on things. I was extremely tired all day long yesterday. So I'm getting some food ready for the week. This is my first set of New York strip steaks. I'm gonna go ahead and cook those 3 thick cut New York strip steaks, 2.44 pounds of meat. I'm cooking them right now for 14 minutes at 370 degrees, and we'll see how that comes out in a moment. I even wanna thank my critics in the comments. Some of them were pretty darn harsh, but it motivated me. And I hate that I gotta keep getting back on track, but I think a lot of us are gonna run into that issue, because it's very difficult. Dr. Ken Berry was talking about not letting it cause you to slip into that 2 or 3 weeks of doing this. Well, that's basically what's been happening. I don't like the water by itself. I don't like the club soda by itself. It's just not enough. When I add the salt, it's perfect. But I had breakfast about 30 minutes ago. I had a New York strip steak that my wife had made last night. So I'm ready for some water. But eating those wrong foods really has affected my mood, my mental process. My stomach has hurt some, just so sluggish. So those 2 strip steaks are done, 14 minutes at 370 degrees. Let's see how they look. Little underdone for my taste. Trying to get a little bit more scientific about this cooking thing. I'm gonna put them in for 4 more minutes. I've noticed when you add a few minutes in the air fryer, it doesn't really equate to saying 14 minutes plus 4 minutes means 18 minutes. If you do it all at once, it's probably going to be a little bit less time. I've tried to add those 2 numbers before, and it comes out more overdone than I wanted. When I use, say if I'd have done 14 plus 4 and said, okay, I'm just going to do 18 minutes, then it comes out overdone. But if I do 14 plus 4 and then subtract a minute or 2, it comes out just right. But if you do them separate, it doesn't cook the same. It's like it has to get started again, whereas it was going at full temperature. So as soon as you take it out, it cools it down some, and then it's got to get back up to heat again to where it's starting to cook the inside of the meat. Whereas if it's continuously cooking, it's going to cook a little bit faster. So most likely 16 or 17 minutes would have been better with that amount of meat. That's perfect. Now let's see if I can show this to you. That's the way I like it cooked, just like that. Where it doesn't look like it's raw anymore, but it's plenty red, got plenty of juices left in it. So when I give you those cook times, I'm looking for a medium rare cook. Some people might call that medium. I don't know. I've gone to restaurants, and when they bring me medium, it's far more cooked than that. And when I've asked for medium rare, it's usually way less cooked than that. So there's somewhere in between medium rare and medium that I'm looking for. Or I just can't figure out exactly what that is. But again, I've told you, I'm not a cook. I've never been a cook. I've never been one to like to cook. But I'm getting there. I'm getting to where I really enjoy cooking steak in the air fryer because it's so easy to clean up. I hated grilling because of all the cleanup you have to do. For all those who have asked multiple times, it's a Power XL 8-quart air fryer. I still feel sluggish this morning. I woke up at 6 o'clock instead of 5:30, which I felt like staying in bed anyway. I haven't felt like that. I've been feeling like jumping out of bed and getting ready for my day. But these past few days, I have had a hard time getting to where I want to get up and go. Incorporating those foods and drinks that are not on the Lion diet have really caused me to suffer. I started reading the comments on that first video, which I was so surprised at the response I got on the first video that I got a little excited. And I read all of your comments, and I was seeing people recommending some keto ideas and some other things that I could have, and I was trying those. It doesn't work for me. One of my commenters asked about noticing inflammation triggers when I've incorporated some of those other foods. Yes, I've noticed inflammation triggers. And I realize it's an attachment issue. I'm attached to these things that I know are not good for me because I think I like them. Or it could be the candida in my gut telling my brain to have more once you sample just a little. And that's why it's so important on this diet not to do any of that sampling. If my diet is off, everything else is off. So I'm having to get back to 100% ruminant meat, salt, and water, and that's it. I've got my 30+1 year reunion coming up in a couple of weeks for my high school reunion. And that's going to be a challenge because there's going to be food there that I'm not supposed to eat. It's going to be a 3-day affair, so I'm going to bring my air fryer with me. I'm going to bring my meat with me. I'm going to stay on this diet, and I'm not going to let anything derail me again. The way I feel right now, I'm having to struggle to push through. And I'm hoping that within a few days and a few updates that I'm going to make for this video, you'll see that progression back to normalcy. Because the first time I started the diet, I noticed within a few days. So I'm hoping that even by tomorrow or the next day, I'll feel back to normal. I talk about in the last video, not worrying about your weight number, but to worry about your waist size number, because that's how you really know you're dealing with an insulin resistance issue is going to be your waistline. My waistline's gone down tremendously. I was wearing size 38 pants when I started, and now I'm wearing 32s, and without the belt, they're loose. I've got room in them. So that's very encouraging because I feel like I've overcome that insulin resistance issue. But the reason I started this diet was health. And I got a little distracted by the weight loss because it was fun. It's fun getting complimented on how you look when you're not used to getting complimented on how you look. I'll continue to tell you about the weight issue, but I'm also going to caveat that with my weight is going to go up some simply because I'm exercising when I wasn't exercising before. So I hope that if you found that doing the Lion diet is what's important for you to be able to have that health that I've been talking about, I hope you'll keep coming back to watch more updates because I'm going to let you know what I've gone through. And I'm also hoping that my errors in doing this diet will help you realize not to let those errors happen to you because you don't want to sink back into what you were dealing with before. It's going to be hard. If I don't inform you about the battles I've been facing, then I'm not giving you a fair shake and showing you what it's like to be on this diet. I had to come back and tell you just as quickly as I could because what a difference a day can make on this diet. I woke up this morning feeling exactly like I did 6 months ago. Today, all I had was the strict diet that I started on. And in one day, it's a little after midnight on June the 10th, and I feel the way I did when I was telling you how great I felt. So this Lion diet has really started to translate into something more than just me getting healthy. My family has started after, what has it been, 4 months, 5 months? Less than 5 months. And originally my family was kind of, yeah, you do your thing. You do your weird thing. But my youngest son, he was like, oh yeah, let's eat some steak. He knew he wanted meat. He knew what his body was telling him to eat. So he would join me a lot more. And then slowly my wife, who was a little bit more leading toward the, not vegetarian, but vegetable-rich lifestyle, has found that meat gives her body strength and that she craves it. And she craves the salt now. And she's been incorporating more and more until the point now that she's having more meat than she is vegetables. So she's kind of on a ketovore diet, but she may not have needed what I needed. She didn't have all the gut issues that I have. And then my oldest son, just in a little bit of adding meat to his diet, more than what he's had in all the other things, and having less of the McDonald's and less of the cereal, he's dropped a little bit of weight and he's starting to feel a little better. As my body has gotten better from eating this ruminant meat lion diet, my gut's gotten better, my mind has gotten better, and that's given me the ability to focus on my spiritual life better. And then as that has gotten better, it's brought my wife and my children into that circle stronger than it ever has before, just trying to drag them to church with me or drag myself to church even. It's much easier to fight my flesh when I've beat it into submission to what's healthy and take on this challenge a lot easier. So I want to share that with you fathers out there who are having a hard time, because the world is very tough to deal with when it comes to trying to be the man you need to be, and the devil don't want you to be the man you need to be, and your flesh is comfortable just saying, you know what, I don't want to fight against these things. It's not going to make your life easier to give in to the world and the devil, because your flesh likes it. This diet's allowed me to want to exercise again, and since my slip off the diet in those last 2 videos where I mentioned some of the things I've been having, getting back on it has been like that reinvigoration, and it came right back just like it did the very first time I started the diet. Ruminant meat, salt, and water only, and that's all I've had for the past 2 days. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and cover those. 2 days ago, New York strip steak for breakfast, dry brine cook, New York strip steak for lunch, New York strip steak for supper, and I had 4 liters of water that day with salt on all of them. Yesterday, 9-ounce New York strip steak, and then I also had a 4-ounce chuck steak that was left over from the previous week. Then I had a 12-ounce piece of veal. It was probably closer to 16 or 17 ounces, but when I took the bones out, it was about 12 ounces left, which was delicious dry brine. I'd never had veal that wasn't Parmesan, so that was kind of neat. 2 venison burgers last night, and I added some beef tallow to those, which, because venison is so lean, I wanted to add a little bit of fat. And here this morning I had a ribeye, and matter of fact, last night I had half a ribeye after I had supper. I had supper a little earlier than normal, so I was still hungry close to midnight. Was it 11 o'clock? I can't remember which. And now they're starting to get up early and join us for family events. It's not just me and my wife working alone on it. The kids are joining in. It's allowing me to have the strength and the will and the desire to follow what the Lord has for me and my family. And the diet isn't where this started. I mean, I learned about the diet from Jordan Peterson, who I was learning a lot about my own psyche to understand some things. As a psychologist, he's tremendous. And I've had multiple viewers recommend Dr. Ken Berry. And the only problem I had with watching some of these other doctors is they're not talking about the lion diet most of the time. They're talking about various forms of carnivore or ketovore or keto whatever. I don't even know how many names there are for all these meat diets there are. But I know for me, the lion diet is what I need to stick with. But one of the things that I had talked about in the first video was the fact that I don't have a gallbladder. And I was concerned with how that's going to affect bile production for the process of protein, because you don't have that extra store of bile in the gallbladder to come to the need to process a lot of protein quickly. Initially, you get a lot of diarrhea at the beginning of your diet because the bile's not keeping up with that process and it's going into the colon and not recycling. But eventually your liver will catch up, and this is from Dr. Berry. The liver will catch up, and the capacity for the bile ducts to dilate in the liver will grow to where you can have that bile there when you need it. I still have a hard time bringing in the idea of eating things like oxtail and cowtail so that I can be more nose to tail, as I've just discovered about and eating organs is not my thing, but I do use beef liver tablets to supplement to get some more nutrients from the liver. I'm just a Christian man trying to figure out how the best way to be a Christian father and husband is too. And this diet has helped with that. Being able to have control over my gut and my brain and have brought my own flesh into submission this way helps tremendously. So we had a great time at Vortex Spring. This is a scuba booty tan. Wait. A scuba boot tan?
Would you say something?
You like my booty?
What'd you call me?
My booty tan? Perfect time. Everything you need to take the Lion Diet on vacation. Here we are down on vacation in Panama City getting my stepson certified for his scuba license. Air frying is awesome. Heavenly Father, thank you for this air fryer and the meat which it's about to deliver. Hotel breakfast never tasted so good. Welcome to day 153 of the Lion Diet. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. There's been some challenges, but overall, everything is good. And the better I stay on this diet, the better everything is. You can see we had a pretty good time. It was really something getting Luke certified for scuba. He's going to be 14 next month, and this was his first big rite of passage, and he handled it quite well. I was able to maintain my diet the entire weekend. And it's made a huge difference. I mean, I feel much better than I did the 2 weeks before. But I've also noticed as I've gotten more active, I am needing to sleep a little bit more, or at least I'm more tired still. But I'm not as tired as I was when I was eating the wrong foods. But being more active is really playing a role in me needing a little bit more sleep than I thought I was going to be able to need. I mean, there was a moment there where I thought I would love to be able to only sleep 4 hours a night and get everything that I need from that. Well, I do know that I can need less sleep. I can fall asleep faster by having the diet. But as I get more active, I'm starting to need more sleep. It's seeming more like around 6 hours a night is getting to be kind of normal. But that might change as this continues. I really don't know what to think about the sleep side of it. I just know that I fall asleep fast still, and I tend to stay asleep. I need to stop drinking so much water right before bed. When I drink too much water before bed is that I gotta go to the bathroom all night long. And that might be another reason why I've been more sleepy during the day still. So let's talk about what I ate for the past week. Before I talk about what I ate for the last week though, there's something about this club soda is different than the other. Oh, this Czech club soda has no sodium, but this Best Choice club soda has 85 milligrams of sodium already. So I may need a little bit more sodium than I've been adding for this club soda that I bought down in Florida. Yeah, I need more salt in there. 6 extra turns, let's see how that does. So this particular club soda that doesn't have any sodium really reacts to having sodium added to it. Let's see, I think I covered through the 11th. I covered the ribeye I had in the morning. That was we left for vacation that day. And I had a cold venison burger for lunch and a little bit of beef jerky. And that evening, we got to the hotel, I cooked up a New York strip steak. Following day, I had New York strip steak for breakfast, 2 venison burgers for lunch, and that evening, I had for supper another New York strip steak and a venison burger. Following day, I had 2 venison burgers for breakfast, an 18-ounce New York strip steak for lunch, and that evening I had an 8-ounce New York strip steak. Following morning, 16-ounce New York strip steak for breakfast, 13-ounce New York strip steak for lunch, and 8 ounces of New York strip steak for supper. This morning I had a 16-ounce New York strip steak, and I'm about to have, I don't know, what am I about to have? New York strip steak for lunch also, one ready to go. Trying to get this video wrapped up so I can put out the 3rd update video, because this has been a turning point since the last 2, and I think it's important to address these issues that I've been dealing with and how getting back strictly on the lion diet has been so important for me. This diet's not for everybody. I think very few people would need everything that this diet has, but apparently by the views, there's a lot of people who are interested in it. So I want to continue to give you the information the best I can. But to be as active as we all were this weekend, we were getting up at 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, or at least I was, and they were getting up a little later, but not much later because we had to get going quickly to get to Vortex Spring. And then we had to be there early in the morning for the dive off of the jetties. And then we spent the whole day in the sun doing all that activity, staying out there all day in all cases. And then we went to the caves down at Florida Cavern State Park, and we got to do the tour in the caves. And it was hot outside. It was nice and cool in the caves, but it was another active day, even on a day when we were on our ride back. And those are things that I just didn't have the desire or strength to do before. But I have them because of this diet. And it's changing my whole family. My wife has pointed out that my oldest son has lost a little bit of weight since we've been incorporating more protein into his diet and a lot less of the other garbage that is in our normal American diet. What is today? Today is September. Today is June 9th, I think. Let me see. Oh, what am I doing? Because I want my animals to be healthy too, so they'll want to be well-behaved animals.
Just like us.
Yes, I want all my animals to be well behaved. So what I wanted is, why is that lopsided? For lack of a better word, or back of what?